Revenge films.
My name is Kelly Smith. I have a husband named Michael, and we're in our second year of marriage without any kids. We're both working full-time, and so in terms of our household finances, we were quite comfortable. The thing that I looked forward to the most was vacations, and any time that we could find some free time, we would often go on day trips. However, recently, my husband and I couldn't match up our schedules, and we haven't been able to go. In that case, I figured that we could plan a long-term vacation and that we could go overseas together. So we both started saving up for that, and finally, this year, in our third year of saving, we were able to meet our goal of $10,000. I was excited, and when I went to the bank to try to withdraw that amount of money, I noticed that the bank account was completely empty. Huh? Wait a minute, what? What on earth is going on here? I was shocked. The money that should have been there for years was completely gone, and it wasn't a small amount of money. And I caught myself starting to panic in front of the ATM. I desperately tried to regain my composure, even just thinking about it normally. If I wasn't the one that withdrew the money, the only person that would have access to this bank account was my husband, which meant that he was the only person that could have been responsible. At that very moment, I felt a chill straight down my spine, and I hurried home as quickly as possible. When I got home, I checked the bank book and the seal at home. I was stunned. This must be a joke. No way. My husband and I had a second joint bank account, and that was a savings account for our future child. In that account, there should have been $30,000 that we had saved for our future baby, as well as $60,000 that we had saved up as an investment towards our retirement. However, when I looked at the bank account, all of that was missing. How can this be? Even though in that account there was quite a lot of money that I had put in myself that was savings from when I was single. It was money I earned before we got married. I wanted to confront my husband immediately, but at that same time, even if I were to confront him, the fact that he hadn't spoken to me about this before must mean that he would act like he didn't know anything about it. And not only that, but I could already tell that if I were to bring it up to him, he would do everything he could to erase all of the evidence. There's no way I can let him get away with this. I need to make sure I investigate what he used all that money on. The first thing that came to mind was gambling. However, I've known my husband for years now, and generally speaking, he doesn't gamble, nor is he interested in it. I felt the possibility of it being that was quite low. In that case, the problem must be a woman. That's what I thought, so the first thing that I did was look into my husband's phone and try to find anything interesting. However, of course, the phone was locked, so I wasn't able to look inside of the phone. That was when I decided that, even though it would cost a little bit of money, I should use a professional detective agency and launch an investigation. At the very least, I needed to walk carefully along the surface and make sure that my husband didn't know that I was onto anything. However, I didn't take long to get the results that he was guilty. It seems like my husband didn't even think in his wildest dreams that I was suspicious of him, and he was boldly having an affair with a woman in public. When I saw the photos, it was a face that I had never seen before, but according to the results of the investigation, I found out that she was an administrator at the same company as my husband. And when I realized that these two people were using the money that I had worked so hard to save until now, there was no way that I was ever going to be able to forgive them for this. I had all the evidence in hand, and with that, I finally confronted my husband. I wasn't sure how he would react, but instead of trying to make excuses, he had an unexpected response. With a big grin on his face, Michael was quick to confess and acknowledge that he was having an affair. And seeing my husband like this made me even more furious inside. But at the very same time, I thought it was strange that he was acting so confidently. Now that his affair was discovered, it was Michael who was in a bad place because of this, but I couldn't understand why he could act so boldly and stay so calm amidst all that. He had a snarky smile on his face as though he had won in this situation, so this time I told him that we were going to be getting a divorce, but his response was,
"Yeah, sure, as you wish. I mean, she's way more beautiful than you are anyway, and I get along better with her too. And plus, I have that thing in my hands now, so you're not needed anymore. You're just used goods."
he said to me. I couldn't believe that on top of having an affair, he was speaking about me, his wife, like this. I wasn't going to forgive him. When I thought about the fact that I married a man like this, I was so upset that I could feel the tears forming in my eyes. However, I knew that if I were to show that side of me to him right now, he was only going to be happy about it, so I grit my teeth and I held it in. From there, in the end, I didn't know what my husband meant when he talked about having that thing, but I served him the divorce papers and he signed them. My divorce from Michael is secured. However, even after the divorce, I couldn't understand why Michael was so confident, and I couldn't help but be bothered by it. That's why I was feeling so uneasy about his attitude that I wasn't able to settle down much. But he said he would pay the settlement fee and that he would happily adhere to the divorce. That was all I really wanted, so I wasn't able to say anything further. I wanted to move out of that house as quickly as possible, but I also wasn't able to take days off work to do so. It was going to take too long just for me to pack up my belongings at home, and so even though he was the last person that I wanted to see, I had no choice but to see my husband at home for a number of days, and that was so painful I could barely stand it. As I would be packing up my belongings, Michael would just stand there grinning. It was so disgusting that I couldn't stand it. I couldn't wait to get out of there. At the same time, I tried to find any spare moment in between my work that I could, and I started looking for a new apartment to live in. However, I was struggling to find a good place, and time was only ticking. Even though my husband was the one that cheated on me and betrayed me like that, why was I the one having to suffer like this? Why was I the one who was having to feel like this? That's how I was feeling, and I was struggling just to get by every day. But right around that time, my sister must have heard somehow that I was getting a divorce. I got a phone call from her for the first time in a while, and she ended up saving me. I had nowhere else to go, and she said, "Why didn't you contact me sooner? Come to my place and stay with me." "But what about your husband? I don't want to bother him." "Oh, please, you're only one person and we'd be more than happy to look after you. Plus, my husband is the one saying that you need to get here as soon as possible and that we can take care of you." After being cheated on and betrayed, I was suffering every day having to see the face of my ex-husband. When my sister sent this to me and offered her help, I was saved by her. It was the truth that I wasn't able to find a good apartment for me to move into by myself, and I couldn't stand to live there anymore, so I decided to do as she told me to and stay with her for a while. And as soon as I was able to get out of that house, I decided that I was going to put an end to this situation with my ex-husband's affair and started making moves to do so. During that time, I had been meeting with my ex-husband a number of times to discuss the terms of the divorce. And that was when I realized the reason behind my ex-husband's confidence during the divorce. In the middle of one of our discussions, Michael suddenly said to me,
None of this matters. Let's stop wasting time with this useless conversation. Hurry up and hand over the money from the separation of assets.
"Huh? What are you saying? What separation of assets? There's nothing for me to give to you."
Oh, please, stop acting dumb. You have a lot of money, don't ya? Don't think that I forgot. When your parents died, you got a pretty big amount of their inheritance, didn't you? That's what I'm talking about, that money. That girl is saying she wants to go on a vacation together, so we need the money soon. So hurry up and hand it over.
Oh, I see. The reason why Michael agreed to the divorce and the reason why she treated the settlement fee like it was nothing, it was because he thought he was going to be getting half of my parents' inheritance, and that's where his confidence was coming from. That's when I understood. However, this idiot ex-husband had no idea that the insurance money that I received from my parents' death doesn't get included in the separation of assets. Back when I was younger, I worked at an insurance company for a little while, and I had gained that knowledge there. It was so obvious to me that I didn't even think twice about it, and that's why I took the opportunity to explain the truth to Michael. When he heard that he wasn't going to be getting that money, he opened both of his eyes wide and said,
You're lying! As if anybody would ever believe that lie!
He was becoming furious, but then I told him that he should ask around with other people. He could ask some lawyers if he wanted to. So he picked up the phone and did just that. And then, as a result, he realized that what I was saying was correct, and he sat there shocked. because up until now he thought that he was going to be receiving half of those assets, so he stupidly admitted to the affair. And he was confessing everything on his own, and he agreed to a settlement fee that was very much in my favor. As for what my ex-husband found out after that, was that all of the money that he spent during the affair, which amounted to over $100,000, he was going to have to pay back to me. And he also found out that he wasn't going to get a single penny out of the insurance money that came out of my parents' death. When he realized that he was going to have to pay all of this money, my ex-husband changed his tune in such a pathetic way. He said that he didn't have any money, so he begged me to lower the settlement fee, but he knew that there was no way that I was going to agree to that. Then he changed his tune to try and ask to get back together. He started saying that there was no other woman better than me, that he was going to have a change of heart and wanted to start over. And just entertaining this felt stupid to me, and that's why I coldly ignored everything that my ex-husband was saying and declined any of his offers. And then I also collected a settlement fee from his mistress. As it turns out, she had heard about the inheritance that I received from Michael, and she seemed to believe that through Michael, she was going to be receiving a large sum of money. So, just like I had informed my ex-husband, I also told his mistress the truth about the situation.
What? What did you say? I thought that we were going to be getting a lot of money. Are you kidding me? You better take responsibility for this, and you better pay a settlement fee. This is your punishment for fooling me.
She started to throw a tantrum, but obviously there's no way that that was going to pass, and she was about to find out quickly. As it turns out, the mistress had been shopping and maxed out her credit card because she thought she was going to be getting part of my inheritance. She then decided to make more new credit cards and was spending even more money, and then got into a fight with Michael about her reckless spending, and they broke up. Well, just because that happened doesn't mean I was going to let go of a settlement fee or that her debt was going to magically disappear. From there, after the divorce, Michael was left with no choice but to sell the house and the land, but that still wasn't enough to pay back the full settlement fee. Every month, there was going to be a deduction from his salary, and his income became quite low. As for the mistress, she was no longer able to pay her own debts or the settlement fee. I heard that at night she's having to work at a lounge and drink until she passes out, and then first thing in the morning she has to work at a convenience store. But until she pays back every single penny, I have no intention of letting her get away. As for Michael, his affair with one of the junior administrators in the office became company-wide news. Even after she resigned, he had to continue working in order to survive, and I heard that all of the employees have shunned him. He lost his house, so I heard he's living in a rundown apartment, and according to the rumors, he's being treated for depression. Take that! I was belittled by my husband who cheated on me, and I hit rock bottom, but I feel a lot better now.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.